seats of power because we are kings and our words matter. When a person has a proper desire, a desire that is based on God's will for his life and what God has given him as far as gifts and abilities and talents and everything, he has this desire that he wants to accomplish this, and God is leading him in this direction. He has this great desire to glorify God on this earth through this gift and talent that God has given him, through this ability, and so he's seeking to do it. There is no opportunity, the doors are not open, but he's pursuing it relentlessly. And I tell you, no matter if he fails 100 times, he will, 101st time, he will win. Faith is the victory. He will certainly win.
There'll be victory in the camp at the shout of El Shaddai. Every enemy will flee from the fire in his eyes. Every captive will be free in this year of Jubilee. When we hear the shout of El Shaddai, there'll be victory in the camp at the shout of El Shaddai. Every enemy will flee from the fire in his eyes. Every captive will be free in this year of Jubilee. When we hear the shout of El Shaddai, can you hear it? Thunder in the distance when we worship the Lion of Judah rose. Strongholds crumble all around us in the presence of our Lord. There'll be victory in the camp at the shout of El Shaddai. Every enemy will flee from the fire in his eyes. Every captive will be free in this year of Jubilee. And we hear the shout of El Shaddai. Oh, there'll be victory in the camp at the shout of El Shaddai. Every enemy will flee from the fire in his eye. Every captive will be free in this year of Jubilee. When we hear the shout of El Shaddai, can you hear it? The thunder in the distance when we worship the Lion of Judah rose. Strongholds crumble all around us in the presence of our Lord.
You can't sin without experiencing loss. Very deep losses. Losses in your spirit, soul, and body. Losses in your family life. Losses in every realm of your life. There will be loss. There is no way. I tell you, my friend, I can guarantee you, there is no way to sin without death or loss of life happening. Loss of something good happening. There is no way to sin without loss happening. Look at the loss that happened as a result of Adam and Eve's sin. Everything that is bad happening today is as a result of Adam and Eve's sin. You think Adam and Eve would have sinned if they knew what was going to happen now? All their children, we're all their grandchildren. If they knew that for generations together, for thousands and thousands of generations, will be dying, will be sick, will be in poverty. The whole world, even the nature will suffer. If they knew all the implications of what this sin will bring, the death will bring, if they only knew in detail all that it will bring, would they have sinned? But sin's deception says, no, nothing will happen. Don't worry. Nothing will, but it's entire contradiction. When they sinned, the whole world went berserk. Nature went berserk. Human life went berserk. Everything went wrong. Everything that is wrong today is as a result of sin. More than that, Jesus died on the cross. Why did he die? If there was no sin, there need not have been death. There need not have been any suffering there. There need not have been that kind of horror and death happening there on the cross of Calvary of the Holy Son of the living God. The thing that caused Jesus to die there is sin. Yet, sin says, no, nothing will happen. Don't worry. Nothing is going to happen. Nobody will know. You can sin. Nothing will happen. But Jesus died because of our sin. Jesus died because we thought nothing will happen. Look at him hanging in public shame, spit upon, mocked upon, beaten, head to toe, blood flowing in his body, cursed and forsaken by God, hanging there on the cross of Calvary, all because of sin. You see. Bible teaches three things about sin very clearly. You can get it in summary form. Let me give it to you like this. The Bible teaches that sin is real. Everybody say sin is real. This idea that there is no sin, there's only problems, there is only difficulties, there is only maladjustments. We come up with a lot of names, you know. We take a guy who steals and say, well, he's really sick, he's got obsessive compulsive some disorder, you know. God has given a convenient three-letter word that you can quickly call it what it is, but we expand it and find some biggest words in the dictionary. Obsessive, compulsive, blah, 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 you know. And the guy is very proud now. He says, you know, the doctor told me I've got obsessive, compulsive, some kind of disorder, you know. They like that. So they need a doctor now, not need God. Nowadays, they don't even need the police because the police will take them only to the doctor, you know. But if you murder, maybe you're mentally sick. That's why you murdered, you know. So you go to the doctor and get admitted in a hospital, and after your head is fixed, then you can go home, you know. And then when your head goes wrong again, you can murder again, you know. Strange, isn't it? We've complicated everything. But God is very plain. It calls it sin. If we just identified sin for what it is and agreed with God, everything will be all right. If we said, yeah, this is sin. Yeah, this is a problem. Yeah, this is the way to do it. This is the medicine for it. This is the remedy for it. There is sin, therefore there is salvation. There is sin, there is a sin bearer. There is sin, there is the cross. There is sin, there is Jesus the Savior. If we will only come to that conclusion, my friend, the whole problem can be solved in a minute. But we complicate it. You know, we don't want to admit to the fact of sin. But the Bible teaches very clearly that sin is real. But these guys tell us, the modern guys tell us, there is no such thing as sin. Only the old-time preachers have complicated things and put this idea of sin in the people. It belongs to the old days of barbarism. Not to these modern days. There is no such thing as sin. But look at an ordinary Indian. You go, you know, to an ordinary man who doesn't go to any church, doesn't belong to any religion, doesn't have any religious faith at all. He's sitting at home and he'll tell you his next door man is such a horrible sinner. And you ask him why? Because he has murdered somebody. He has stolen something. He's a terrible, bad man. Where did he learn it? Did he learn it from the Bible? Did he get it in his church? He's never been to church. He doesn't belong to any religion. But his heart tells him, because in the heart God has put the Bible in the heart of man. That is conscience. The 10 Commandments is nothing but an expansion of the conscience that is put in the heart of man. It is saying it in words. What is in man as a sensibility is now in the form of words. That's all 10 Commandments is. The Bible is just an expansion of that, you see. So every man knows. You don't have to go to a church. Preachers are not to be blamed for preaching sin, No. Sin is a fact. The Bible teaches it and preaches it. It's there. Everybody knows. Even a person who's never been to church knows in his heart of heart that when he has done wrong, that he has sinned. This is wrong. You ask an ordinary guy, in Tamil they say, Adu pavam, adu seyyakudadunga. I shouldn't do that because that's a great sin. That's exactly what they use the word sin. Only the high-flung guys don't want to use the word sin. They say, no, let's not call it sin. I don't like the word sin. So what? The Bible calls it sin. That's the thing, you see. And we need to come to terms with it. Sin is real. Secondly, sin is a deceiver. Sin has deception in it. It has a lie in it. And that's the lie that we are talking about. That is, it says, nothing will happen. Go ahead and sin. There will not be any consequences. Nothing is going to happen. You can go ahead and freely sin. This is what it says. Thirdly, sin is a killer. Sin is real. Sin has deception, and sin kills more than any disease, any problem, any plague, any disease. Sin kills. Now in the airports, when you land, they're checking you out. If you're coming from a foreign country, they're checking you out for what is this sickness called? Swine flu. But something worse than swine flu, what if we checked for that? Swine flu is not killing nearly as many people as sin is killing. Sin has been the biggest killer. Every person who died because of sin. Through one man, sin entered the world, and death through sin, Romans 5:12 says. So sin has killed everybody. Yet we don't look at that plague at all. We don't deal with that plague at all. We're totally, we don't want to even talk about that plague. But that's killing every day. That's what is doing it every day. All right. How does temptation work? So we know now there is a tempter. We know that he works through people. We know there is a deception in sin, and the deception is that you sin and death will not happen. Sin and death is not, you can separate sin and death. You can sin without dying. You can sin and not have death. This is the deception. All right, turn with me to James chapter 1. The Bible then teaches about how sin's temptation works. Because this is so real, because sin is so real, and because temptation is so real, the Bible teaches how it works. Look at verse 12. Blessed, everybody say blessed. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. He's talking about a person winning in the battle over sin and then receiving a crown of life. So it's talking about that there is a blessing for the man who goes through the temptations and endures it in the sense that he wins against it. There is a blessing. When you go through temptation and you win against it, there is blessing. When you go through temptation and you lose against it, there is a lot of loss. Loss of life in every way. Loss that you'll be counting forever. In this life and in the life to come, there will be loss. But blessed is the man who endures and wins over the temptation. Look at the next verse. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. Now, I can talk authoritatively about Christians, more authoritatively than others. Christians are very bad in saying that God is the one that is their tempter. I'm glad this verse is there. Somehow they think, because you've known people, when they're tempted and they fall into sin or something like that, or when they're going through some kind of struggle with sin, they'll say, why is God tempting me, brother? Why did God send this temptation my way? You mean to say that God is playing around with sin? He's got packages of sin sending your way so that he can tempt you and lure you into this? That he's working with sin? No, the Bible says God cannot be tempted with sin, and God does not tempt anyone with sin. He cannot be tempted by sin, and he cannot tempt anyone with sin. All right. So God is not the tempter. There is a tempter, and we showed you who the tempter is. So let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. Be very clear about it. So how does temptation happen? If God is not tempting you, if God is not the one that is responsible for what you're going through, then how is it happening? How did the temptation come about? How is it working? Listen to verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Everybody say, of his own lust. How does temptation happen? Temptation happens because everybody's got their own lust inside. What is lust? Lust is the twisting of the right desires that God has put within us into wrong ones. God has put proper desires in us that must be satisfied, but sin twists and thwarts it, and that is a wrong desire. So that is what is called lust. And lust, the word lust is not just a word meaning sexual lust. Lust is a very general word. It implies a lot of things. It's a broad word. So what does lust mean? Lust means a longing and a craving for something that is wrong in this context. Longing and a craving for something that is wrong. Now, in the positive way, you can have some longing and craving for good things. You should have good desires. Because about prayer, the Bible says, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them. So when a person comes and prays, he must be first filled with desire for something, to receive something. And that desire and the expression of that desire is prayer, right? Without desire, there is no prayer. So desire is good. But this is talking about wrong desires. Just like when you have good desires and you desire them so strongly, you will certainly get them. Thomas Alva Edison, he failed so many times, but there was such a driving desire inside of him. He failed hundreds of times trying to do what he wants to do. But he never quit. He arrived at it because faith is the victory. For any man who believes, he'll have victory. No amount of defeat can stop him. He will arrive at victory at one point in his life. That will be the end. He will not quit until he gets the victory. So, good desires, have a way of removing every obstacle. When a person has a proper desire, a desire that is based on God's will for his life and what God has given him as far as gifts and abilities and talents and everything, he has this desire that he wants to accomplish this, and God is leading him in this direction. He has this great desire to glorify God on this earth through this gift and talent that God has given him, through this ability, and so he's seeking to do it. There is no opportunity, the doors are not open, but he's pursuing it relentlessly. And I tell you, no matter if he fails 100 times, he will, 101st time, he will win. Faith is the victory. He will certainly win. Faith is the victory. Faith will bring victory. In the same way, wrong desires, if you keep having the wrong desires, it will bring failure for sure. And that's what it's talking about. It's talking about everyone is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So everyone has got a problem, their own lust, and then there is an enticer who uses this lust to entice. So the devil works hand in hand with what we've got as a problem inside. We've got lust inside, and the devil is very glad that we got it because he can get a handle now in our lives. The less of lust for wrong things you have, the more difficult it becomes for the devil to get a handle over you and manipulate you into sinning. The more of lust and lustful desires you have, the more difficult it becomes for, the easier it becomes for the devil to manipulate you. He's got a lot of handle now. Are you getting what I'm saying? So because desire is the starting point of sin. If you have more of wrong desires, then the devil has a lot to play with, a lot to work with. The devil is happy. Say, there's a lot. This guy's got a lot of it. I can work with it. But if you have very little of it, if you don't have much of it, then the devil is unhappy because he can't entice you with very much because you give no place to the lust or you give no place to the wrong desires. That's why we need to identify this starting point called desire and cut it out, cut sin out at that point itself. Some people say, it's okay to look, but don't touch. I'm sure you've heard that, right? Some good people say that. It's okay to look, but don't touch. Now, it sounds good, but absolutely wrong. That's the problem with looking. I remember one time I went into a car showroom and I was looking at all these new cars, very nice, beautiful cars. They had a half a dozen of them standing there, one by one. I was just looking, and there was a man sitting there looking at me, And slowly he got up from his seat and came over here, and he said, "Can I help you, sir?" I said, "No, I'm just looking." He said, "Oh, go ahead and look, sir. That's how it starts." See, he's so convinced that if I look long enough, that I'll end up buying. So he's glad I'm looking. So he went and opened all the doors. He opened the hood. He opened the trunk. He opened everything. Is there anything I can do for you so you can look? You can look underneath. You can look on top. You can look everywhere, anywhere. He said, "Do you like some cold drinks or hot drinks, or what would you like? Would you like to sit around here? Can we show a video demonstration of this thing? And here is our color brochure." He's willing to make me eat dinner there, If I will sit there and watch, because he knows that if I looked long enough, I'll end up buying one of those things. Hello? Looking, there is so much in looking. Some of our businessmen don't know, So they say, "Hey, what are you looking at? You're going to buy something or not, Take a walk, That's a guy who doesn't understand the psychology behind marketing. These guys understand it very well. If you look, you'll get it. In some countries of the world, they believe in window shopping. Window shopping is where you never even get to go into the shops. They close their shops in some countries 5 o'clock in the evening. They close it. They don't care. 5 o'clock, they close and go home. And after 5 o'clock, when it gets dark, you go there, you walk by the shop on the sidewalk, the light comes on. They don't put all the shutters and close the entire store. It's all in glass windows. All diamond jewelry, gold jewelry, watches, and all expensive items, all are kept on display with the light shining on them. It'll be turned off, but as you walk past, it'll come on. So you'll say, "All right, let's look at this." So you go near and the light keeps on, As long as you stand there, the light is on. They want you to look. They don't care that the shop is closed because they know that you will come searching for them next day. They know that your wife will take you next day. She can't sleep after she sees that. They know the power of this looking, you see. They know what the looking will do, so they turn the lights on. They don't care about electricity being wasted and all. They don't, it's not a waste. They know the power of this looking. Look, they say. Now there's a big controversy over television crimes and violence and all these ugly scenes that come on television, whether they make an impact upon the behavior of children and others. There's a big debate over it. Some people say, the producers say, "No, we are only depicting what is already happening in the world. We're not showing anything new. It's already happening and we're showing." And so the others are saying, no, because you're showing only it's happening. Otherwise it don't happen. But the thing is, the problem with this is they are not actually showing what is actually happening there. They are not going and filming the guy as he does it and show it there, They are acting and showing it. So that now the freshers who have never done anything like this and have no involvement in this, they are watching now. That's the bad thing about it. They are now watching, and as they look and keep looking, they're going to end up doing what it says. There is a powerful pull about that looking. The more you look, the more you'll be drawn into it. As you look, what does looking do? Looking feeds the desire. That's the thing about looking. Looking feeds the desire. It strengthens the desire. And if you keep looking at it long enough, you're going to start acting funny. You're going to start acting in the way that you saw them act. That is why it is said like this. Look at this. Every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. But then when lust is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. Now it's talking in a different language. It says lust conceives. How many understand conception? man gives seed into the female, and she conceives and brings forth a child. Something like that takes place with reference to desires. When you take in desires by looking, the desires go in there in the form of a seed and begin to produce a child, produce a certain kind of thing inside of you. Just like a woman really grows a child inside of her. This seed of this lust going in produces something. When lust is conceived, it brings forth sin. That means it gives birth, one translation says, to sin.
My soul, do you not know? Have you not heard? It's been told from the beginning. The Lord your God is on your side. Oh, my soul, don't be afraid. Hope in the Lord. By his righteousness and power, he will strengthen, he will guide. I will soar on wings like eagles, held by the hand of God. I will run and not grow tired. On his name I call. For the Lord is never weary. His ways are beyond my thoughts. I will trust in him with all my heart. My soul, do you not know? Have you not heard? It's been told from the beginning. The Lord your God is on your side. My soul, don't be afraid. Open the Lord. By his righteousness and power, he will strengthen, he will guide. And I will soar wings like eagles, held by the hand of God. I will run, not grow tired. On his name I call. For the Lord, his ways are beyond my thoughts. I will trust in him with all my heart. And I will soar on wings like